Good morning, everybody. Welcome out to another board game breakfast. My name's Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
You might notice the absence of one Tom Vassell who, regretfully, he's so sad to miss this. He's even more sad to
Tragedy.
be having a root canal performed.
Yeah.
Possibly at this very minit. So.
Wow, that would actually be really fast timing if you got into the root canal that quickly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. How quickly does that gas stuff work?
Well, he said he wasn't getting gassed, right?
Oh, he's not?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there.
He's
so.
just grinning and bearing it.
Yep. Yeah. Tough guy
No,
Vassell. That's how he was known in high school.
He will be back, though, today.
He will be back today.
That'll be exciting.
We're all
excited to see.
We're going to talk about that here in a second. But yeah, so Tom, root canal. Wish him well. We'd also like to thank, for this episode of Board Game Breakfast, our sponsor, Forbidden Games. You'll notice that they have up here Raccoon Tycoon. Have either of you tried this one yet?
I've not.
I've played Lizard Wizard, which is a follow-up to it. Raccoon Tycoon is kind of a fast-paced, stock market-ish kind of a game where you're turning commodities into other commodities, building up different buildings, building up your town. Very cute, obviously, and
It
rhymey.
is one I should try.
I do want to,
one.
yeah. So, like I said, I played the follow-up to it, and I think that would be interested in trying out the original. So, Raccoon Tycoon. So, I'd like to thank Forbidden Games for sponsoring this episode. We've got a couple announcements. Something big's happening today.
Oh, snap.
Something big. The top 100 games of all time, featuring one Tom Vassell, one very drug-ridden Tom Vassell, and unfortunately sober Z. Garcia and Mike DeLisio.
Dang it.
But you only get Special Tom for one day and one day only.
So you better tune in.
You better tune in.
Right.
Also, the Dice Tower Retreat. We just got back from the cruise, and we'll be talking about that later this episode. But the retreat registration is going to open up this Wednesday, noon Eastern time. If you want to come to a convention all about gaming, if you want to have the best opportunity to run into us and sit down and talk and play a game, Dice Tower Retreat's your best bet.
It is our smallest convention, so it's tight and it's comfy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. The cruise and the retreat
people.
both made my top experiences for last year. I love those events. So yeah, the retreat's amazing if you can make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the ongoing Dice Tower Kickstarter right now. We're very thankful we've passed 3 of our stretch goals already. So thank you to everyone who supported us already. And then if you haven't yet, I mean, there's plenty of great stuff to look into that for. What is it's DicetowerKickstarter.com?
DicetowerKickstarter.com, yeah, and you can go and check out there and help support us and keep us doing things here on the Dice Tower. We're definitely super thankful and grateful to everybody who's already pledged and joined in and helped us do this.
Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of Kickstarter backers, here's a couple of folks who have supported us at the level to get a shout out on the air. You ready? Brian Leet.
Yes!
Thank you, sir. Michael Shirk. Carl Guideworth, Jorge Cabrera, Ang Sim Hui, and in fact, the whole, Jorge Cabrera wanted us to shout out SPC11. Hope that's not a gang.
They have gang signs.
And the Ang
it's
family.
Just 2 ones.
And the Ang family, Alvin, Ash, Leanne, and Jillian.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you all so much.
Thank you guys.
Well, how about we get this episode kicked off with some contributors?
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Tarrant.
And Stella from Maple University. Today we have Crème Musa. So this game is about Mozart finishing his last song in his deathbed. And we are hiring musicians to finish his work.
Indeed.
This game is released this year. And as you can see here on the board, that looks quite complex, but the game is not as complex as it looks.
That's true. It is a very typical 5-action Euro. You've got, think Marco Polo. It's on the easier side of that, I think, but it's got a map where you can go and do stuff. It's got cards where you can go and get new actions, and it's got a little area control thing going on down here. So it actually plays through quite easily with some relatively ornate icons that take a little bit to get used to, but ultimately you pick it up pretty quickly.
Indeed. So it is interesting. The theme is interesting. I used to play organs when I grew up. I'm pretty sure some of the Mozart's music as well is not the easiest one to play. But this is like interesting. You can see here the board. It's this is the one this is the area control bit where you pay with certain resources, and this is area control at the end of the game. And the traveling bit, getting bonuses and immediate bonus and end game bonuses. And the top bit is the cards that you want to collect to score points. Pretty straightforward. I mean, have you played a game that looks complex but it's actually easy? Like, this is definitely one of them. I mean, I won't say that easy, but it's pretty easy.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Proti here, your remaining content creator, and today I will continue my series where I will talk about a specific part of a game, and today we will talk about Dog Park. In Dog Park, you are a person which is walking dogs, and it's quite nice thematically split up the game, so you have a phase where you recruit dogs, so you get dogs which you have to walk, then you select the dogs, because you can walk just 3 dogs, select them, and put them on the leash, and then walk them with, let's say, like in parks mechanic, walking through the park and then evaluating the rounds, and you play 4 rounds. And it's interesting because the dogs have different powers, and they have some powers when they when you select them, or some dogs have powers when you walk them, or let's say final scoring abilities and so on. And this is what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss about a dog which has an interesting ability. It's translated in Romanian, but I can explain. So this is this toy dog, like. It's a toy is his category, and it's an Italian ogre. Here is the resources or the things that you need so that you can select him for a walk. But what's interesting, usually when you walk through the park, you gather different resources. And the point is, if you are going on a space where already a walker or another player is, you have to pay 1 reputation so that you can get the resources there. And interesting is, if you have one of those dogs on the leash, you can go into those spaces where other players are and don't pay that reputation. Reputation is important because reputation is the points that give out the winner at the end of a game, and reputation is with what you bid for recruiting dogs. So this is what I wanted to discuss shortly about in Dog Park, this nice ability on dogs, which is helping you get resources without paying reputation.
Well, 40 years ago, a
Yes.
game came out, the first edition of a game came out, of which I've only played the 8th edition.
And none of us are 40 years old, so
I was going to
Right.
say 40 years ago,
it's
I was a dream and
before
a
we were
wish.
born.
Yeah. You were, no, yeah. So none of us have played the first edition of this game. This game is called Wiz-War.
Wiz-War!
Roy, you are probably the most experienced Wiz-Warist here.
Yeah,
at the-
I've only played the 8th edition. I know that this original edition, like literally when they first started selling the game, came like into like a Ziploc bag, which is like paper cards and paper stuff. Like it was super like way back in the day when you'd have like those old school games, and this was one of those like fantasy crazy games. But like Wiz-War in general is like your wizards trying to get 2 points or whatever and basically either get treasures back to your home base or just knock out the other wizards. And the crazy thing about this is this predates Magic the Gathering. So like, and I think Richard Garfield claims like Wiz-War and Cosmic Encounter as like 2 of his influences for designing Magic the Gathering. So, and if you play Wiz-War, you can really get that feel. You have like 20 life, your wizard's casting spells, there's counter spells and cards that go back and forth. It really gives you a strong like, wow, this is like Magic the Gathering with a board. How did they rip off Magic the Gathering? But it came out before that.
It was
Mostly-
interesting. I was reading about this first version, and apparently it was like a 100 print run, and it was cardstock that you were like cutting out your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like a super, super basic homemade kind of thing.
But it's very much like a dungeon crawl as well. So it's like
Yeah.
one of the early dungeon crawl games where you're like going through a maze and a labyrinth, you know, all of that sort of like tropes of fantasy that we see in tons and tons and tons of games these days. So it's kind of like pretty forward on all of that stuff.
How does it differ from Wildlands? Because like that's what I thought of initially, because I haven't played Wiz-War.
So Wildlands is very much like you're just moving forward and playing a couple cards. Wiz-War is stock full of like cards with special abilities and zany things, like you're pulling out a giant hammer and hitting somebody,
Oh,
or this
okay.
pushes somebody back like and around the corner. This makes a Minotaur appear and the Minotaur's running around now, and now there's an NPC Minotaur beating people up. Or like, and the whole thing of like, I cast a fireball at you. Well, I make that fireball bounce back at you, and now I cancel the fireball. I just canceled the spell that I just played, you know, that sort of thing. You know, so it has a lot of that back and forth and just the zaniness of like, You get that feeling of like Saruman and Gandalf like doing the spells back and forth and hitting each other across Orthanc sort of thing. It gives you like that sort of
you feel
wizard
like a mage, yeah.
battling each other. And this is like,
Interesting.
I'm not sure if this is the first wizard battling thing, but there's been so many other games that are like wizards fighting each other, you know.
Yeah.
This is definitely an inspiration for a lot of important things like Magic the Gathering,
Right, yeah.
primarily. One thing I find impressive about it, I don't love the game, like it's not to my tastes of gameplay and everything, but it is really neat that when you play at different player counts, the board's kind of a quantum almost, right? If you play 2 players, you have two square boards next to each other.
Yep.
But you can always wrap around. So if you run off one side of the board, you pop in on the other
It's
side.
very like Pac-Man-ish, right?
Yeah, if you jump down the bottom, then you pop up in the top. And so it's always tight. When you play 3-player, which is what I played it at, you have 3 square boards, right, kind of make it an L shape. And the portals are done in a way so that even though these 2 things are hanging off the sides this way, they are also relatively connected to each other because of different like magic portals. You run down here, you pop in over here. So you can't just look at it and be like, oh, they're over there, they're not a threat to me.
Everybody's close always.
Yeah, it's
Everybody's
very
close
interesting.
always.
It's super tactical because like all the different stuff. Where you said it's not really your style of game. I love Wiz-War. I love Magic the Gathering, that style of stuff. But this is like zany. You have to go into this game realizing, oh, it's going to be kind of chaotic and random. But I've played it at 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. I played up to 5 players. I wanted to. They don't even have a 6-player because I've played 8th edition mostly, which is the Fantasy Flight version of this game. They don't even have a 6-player, but like online you could print out stuff for like a 6th player and play a crazy, insane game of Wiz-War. And at that point, I was like, I really wanted to make like this I was trying to do this project for a long time of making this 3D cube that was magnetic, where you could literally run around the sides of it, and you were on the outside of the cube.
Do you hang it by a string so you can get to the bottom of it?
I bought a bunch of like whiteboards and was like trying to make this happen with like stickers and whiteboards.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
like the laws of physics didn't allow me to do it. I wanted to make it like on like a stand and where you just be running around the outside.
It's not the laws of physics, it's the restrictions of your time, Roy. You're a Leonardo da Vinci of the modern
I was a
era.
stay-at-home dad at the time, so I had a little bit more time in my hands.
Do you know what Roy did instead? He put little 3D planets on stands and put them on a game.
That is kind of, that is a little bit of the truth there, actually. I was like, hey, why am I making stuff for other people's games? I should just make my own. But that's the thing.
So Wiz-War, a game that you love.
Love it.
Game that I don't really love, and I assume
I
that
expect to not like it all.
I would assume that you would not
I don't think you would like
Yeah.
it at all, Wendy.
Yeah,
Yep.
Tom Jolly design. I was
Yes.
really the 1983. I have to assume this is an early Tom Jolly design, as he is still putting out things.
Yep.
Manhattan Project, Energy Empire, Cryo, working
Right.
with Luke Laurie and everything
Yeah.
like this. He's still a relevant designer, and that's amazing. So anyway, not my favorite game, but a huge kudos to Wiz-War for being relevant and inspirational. So that's their game from 40 years ago.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today we're talking about Ecosystem Coral Reef. This is kind of the sequel to the original game from Genius Games called Ecosystem. What you're basically doing, this is a drafting game. You have a hand of cards. You take one card, pass the rest. You have new handed cards, take one card, pass the rest. What you're doing with those cards is you're laying them out in front of you, kind of building this tableau. What you're also trying to do is creating a diverse ecosystem, a healthy ecosystem that can trade, predator, prey, and then the smaller food sources like, krill, plankton, that kind of thing. You're laying them out in all different ways, and every single item that you have in your hand scores a different way. So maybe krill want to all be together. Maybe whales want to have a lot of krill in the ocean, right? Because that's what they're eating. Fish want to be near coral, so that way they can be protected. And there's a whole big, every single thing has its thematically reasons why it scores the way it does in this game. Ultimately, you want to score everything as much as possible, have as many diverse things in your ecosystem to prove that it's a healthy, working ecosystem.
I really liked this game, and this is a game to where it's simultaneous play, so it plays really quick, and it's definitely one to where after you play it and after you're scored, you're like, I can do better. So you just kind of want to play it again to see if you can do better. Oftentimes you won't, because it can be difficult, and people might be keeping the cards away from you that you need.
No more eels for her. She does not need
For
any.
this game. But it is one of those games where I feel like you play it, you score it, and you're like, okay, let's just try it just try it again. Let me try something else this time. Let's just do it for the 5th time. And that's when Ryan's like, no more. No more.
Well, actually, I sat down with a friend of mine, and we actually kind of laid out all these cards like in a perfect situation. What do you think our perfect score could be? And trying to figure all that out was a lot of fun. I think the ecosystem system of games it is just really, really fun. It gives an educational touch without being an educational game.
Yeah.
And it's got solid gameplay mechanisms built into it. It's fast. It's beautiful. It's a great game.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear more from us, you can find us on YouTube. We're Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Until then, this is Ryan and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello, this is Oliver, and I'm joined with a special guest, my dog, Vinny! And he's really excited to hang out with us while we do this segment. So today we're going to be talking about a game that I've unboxed on my YouTube channel that I really love. And this game is Dog Park. Some things I like about Dog Park is, number one, it actually has an Italian Greyhound, is what Vinny is. It has a card that has an Italian Greyhound, and I really like it. And my family implements it. You get an extra point if you get Vinny. Yeah. Another thing is, I really love the art in this game. It's my favorite art game this year and of all time. It's amazing. I can't even fathom how good this game is. Vinny, you licking the game? How do you feel about the cats back there? Another thing I like is how it feels like you're playing a bunch of mini games. You're like auctioning on dogs, so you're bidding for them, and then you're walking them and collecting resources so you can keep the dogs. So it feels like and then you're like, yeah. So I think it's kind of cool. And it kind of goes in a circle. So like you auction on dogs so you can walk them and then collect resources, so then you can keep them by paying resources. So I think that's really cool, and I really like all like the little things you do in this game. And I think that is all, and I think Vinny's ready to go take another nap today. So, have a great day and a great breakfast. Bye.
We have a lot of awesome stuff happening this week. So we have our top 100s that we mentioned. Those are going to be at 1 o'clock every single day this week and next week. So you've got a lot of great games. And also remember, Fun Tom today. Definitely be there.
Oh, yeah.
We have What's Happening right after this. I would do the math, but I can't see the clock. So
Z will be live in 43 minutes. I feel like that's a number 43. We often say on
Yeah,
this.
it's always 40-something.
He's playing Mr. Jack Pocket, the app.
Okay. Roy is doing a bunch of Marvel Champion hero packs.
Nerd!
Yeah.
I still like the Marvel Champions, if you're wondering.
You do you? Tomorrow is At the Table, and that should be at 3 o'clock. No, is that still happening at 3? Well, there's At the Table sometime tomorrow, I guess.
I imagine to be, the top 100
that
should be
probably
done
would
by
fit.
then.
Yeah, I think that works. That
The
makes
guest
sense.
is who? Tim Fowers, right? Mm-hmm. That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
I like Tim Fowers a lot. He just came out with Fugitive 2nd Edition, Paperback Adventures he co-designed with Sky Larson.
Yeah, Burkle
I love
Brothers.
it.
Burkle
Burkle
Bros
Bros.
is what he's known for. Yeah, lots of good stuff there. Let's see. Crowd surfing is getting moved up to 10 a.m., so if you're a crowd surfing fan, tune in the morning.
On Wednesday.
And then we've got our normal stuff, Board Game Smorgasbord. We got lots of reviews, all that jazz. On Friday, we have our Kickstarter wrap-up party. That's sometime in the evening. So stay tuned to see what time that's going to be. But yeah, good stuff this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who haven't heard, who came in late, Tom is currently getting a root canal done. So he's going to be extra fun. He's planning to do the Q&A today.
I called him.
That's
I was
a
like, "Are you
possibility.
gonna do it?" He's like, "If anything, it'll be funny." I'm like, "Good luck. I'll schedule it."
But he will for sure be here by the top 100, so make
Yep.
sure to check that out with Tom, Mike, and Z.
So that's what we got planned for you all this week.
Assalamu alaikum. For Marvel United, I've created a story mode which includes 10 chapters in which it is going to take you through 10 missions which are connected by a story, but you can play them independently as well, and each of these missions is going to let you play with a different kind of boss using just the base components of Marvel United. Because one of the beautiful things about Marvel United, or one of the key things about Marvel United which adds variety to this game, is going to be the bosses. It's not the heroes that make that much variety. At least I didn't find that much variety in the different heroes. It's only one card that makes them special, but it's actually how the villains move and how the villains act and their agendas that are going to make the game unique. And what I found was that actually in the base game there were 3 villains, and that was kind of limiting. So that's why these 10 missions are going to give you 10 entirely new bosses. Each boss is going to be different. Of course, they are going to be represented by the 3 boss miniatures, so you're not going to get miniatures or STL files for those, but at least using the same components, you're going to have more bosses and more variety of gameplay to play with. So if you are interested in that, get the Marvel United story mode from the BGG file section under Marvel United. That's it for me. Happy gaming!
Breakfast everybody, and welcome to my segment, a board game in 1,000 pieces. But today we are talking about 2,000 pieces, and these 2,000 pieces are from Ravensburger, and it is a nice collage from the game Villainous. So Villainous, of course you might know it, is a game in which you are taking part of a Disney villain and try to reach the goal before the other players do. I think this game is very thematic. I love it very much. I am always happy when new villains are released. And now you might think, Susan, but why don't you show us all the villains? Well, as you can see here, I will show you each and every villain, and I will tell you all about their goals later. That's from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
I will never not be impressed by those puzzle time lapses.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so best of the shelf. I'll let the video speak for itself.
All right, well, this is the shelf that we would normally be reviewing. However, you can see most of the library is in shambles at the moment. Horrible, horrible shambles. We just got back from the Dice Tower cruise, and so Wendy is falling behind on her job of organizing the library. How could you? So that we just slept and rested this weekend. So anyway, that's the shelf.
All right. My favorite box was shelf 10, 2 boxes down. That's what I'm going to pick. Definitely the best one.
That's your favorite box?
Yeah.
What's your favorite box, Roy?
The one with the 3 on it.
Oh, there's like 7 of those.
There was so many boxes. It was such a blur, like putting everything and putting them into boxes to get them back over here. Just like,
oh yeah.
It might have been because I was spinning around in circles so much. That's why it was a blur.
That's true. Roy actually does spin around in circles.
And every time that we've come back from a convention, we've had a new layout for our shelves because we keep adding shelves and changing. Yeah. So every time we come back from a convention, I'm like, I don't know where anything's at anymore.
And that's kind of your job, is maintaining the library.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is Monday. We just got back from the Dice Tower cruise on
Saturday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Days, weeks, times, tired.
So we basically threw everything into the office, and then we have until Dice Tower East to make sure that everything's back on the shelves.
I'm pretty sure we have until like 2 days from now to make sure everything's back on the shelves. You don't know how this works.
I'm going to try to get it done today. We'll see what happens.
We're going to beast it out like now.
No, it's just an interesting thing that happens after every convention is just the fun joy of having 2 delivery trucks show up, trying to get the shelves off, trying to put the boxes in, and preferably we could put the boxes in front of the shelves. Every single time this has happened, the truck with the games shows up first before the shelves.
Yeah.
So it is it's a process, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that as we were hauling stuff in, we're just exhausted from having run the convention and everything.
Yeah.
Tom says, every time people ask if we'll run more Dice Tower conventions, I remember this part.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but yeah,
It
over
is.
the next day, probably 2 days, it'll actually kind of look back to normal.
I do want to say we do have a ton of like people that help volunteer and help us out a ton, and it is super helpful,
Yeah.
you know. And it's always fun when like everybody's like working together on stuff, and everybody's like making fun of me, like, "Oh, Roy, you're doing all the shrink wrap," and I'm like, "You want to do it once?" They regret saying that, but it's fun.
Last year's Dice Tower Cruise vlog has a little bit of Brian Drake trying to do one of the shrink wraps, and
I tried to have him do one this year. He's like, "Not again, never again."
See, we had one volunteer that did an amazing job on the cruise ship with the wrap. And right when he finished, Tom was like, "Oh no, Roy has to do that. No one else is allowed to do it."
Wait,
I'm like,
what?
"This guy did
Why?
great." He had it perfect. Like his lines were just like
dizzy forever.
amazing.
The dizzy life.
Yeah.
you are very talented at that, because I will plots over. I did one last year. I think I might have done 2, and I was like, this is too much spinning.
But hey, we got to keep the games safe so we can get them back and get them to the next convention so everybody can play them.
Accurate.
So anyway, that's the shambles of shelves.
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on an IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at G.I. Joe Mission Critical. Now this is a board game based off a previously released board game called Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. So how does G.I. Joe fit into this universe? Well, first of all, the 2 games are combinable, although this version of the game does have a few different mechanisms, like the vehicle system. Now, does it feel like a G.I. Joe game? Well, the Joes are going out on missions together, and it does require teamwork in order to beat a lot of these bad guys, including the bosses and the main villains. You really do need to match up the heroes and what missions are we going to go on, and what vehicles are we going to take with us, and that really does play into the IP. You can't just go Leroy Jackson and try to destroy everybody on your own. Instead, you are going to have to work together and cooperate on how you're going to manage this board and how you're going to manage all these villains. Because it's not just about beating all the bad guys. It's about strategically beating them to get to the final boss. And the final boss is Cobra Commander, which really fits into this. You have the Baroness. You have a lot of the characters from the show popping up, and those are going to be interchangeable, and even more so as more content is released. So you're going to be going into these battles, and this game is going to be very battle-centric, which is really what the show is about, right? We all wanted to see the little battles that were going to go on and how they interacted with the characters, and you're going to get a ton of this in this box. Now, right now, the core box has enough to play the game. It has a little extra in there, but this game is going to rely heavily on expansions, and I'm sure they are going to be forthcoming. But as for now, I do have to say the IP and the mechanisms match very, very well. We do feel like we're going on these G.I. Joe missions, and we do feel like we're battling Cobra, and we have to save the universe, and there's a little bit of a storyline that goes on through the cards. This has all been a huge win for us. I do like the changes from Power Rangers, but if you didn't like that game, you're probably not going to like this one. But for us, this has been a huge hit. Go Joe.
Hey, Board Game Breakfast, how's it going? I have a question for you at this wonderful Board Game Breakfast session. Want to know, what is something that you look for in a board game store, in a friendly local game store? I think it's great that my friendly local game stores in my area are knowledgeable about what they're selling, like what board games, what's coming out, if they can get me stuff. I think that's awesome. And then play space. I think it's nice to have a little bit of play space, not too much play space, but enough play space where we can come, friends can come, or even people have the meetup spot at the game store to come play board games. And sometimes it gets board games get overshadowed at game stores, for like collectible card games, but I think it is just a high priority for game stores that they should, I don't know, I just think they should have board games up on their list, because we can buy a lot of games. Just look at all the Frosthaven people could buy. And one Frosthaven is just a whole bunch of money. But yeah, I would like to know what is something that you find interesting, a need, or maybe just shout out to your favorite game store in the comments of our Board Game Breakfast today about your friendly local game store. Maybe we'll all go trade game store locations and go travel to other game stores. I don't know. Well, without further ado, I'll let you get back to your breakfast, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!
Tom does not review other things today, but it's okay. I mean,
We do.
It's the same bumper.
He could review his dentist today.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that
And
next
we're going
week.
live to the dentist right now.
Oh, my gosh. The day that we could do that, it just cuts to Tom. All right.
You know, I was looking back at the tattoos video that you guys did, and I was curious how intense Tom was going to be during the tattoo.
He did great. He did great.
We should have told him to vlog the root canal.
Vlog the root canal.
Oh, man. Lost opportunity. Here, text him real quick. I'm sure he's not out yet.
All right, so today what we're going to review, the other thing we're going to review is the Dice Tower Cruise. Surprisingly...
Hence your shirt.
Yeah. Surprisingly, A+. All right. Well, thanks for coming. No.
I love it. Like, I mean, I've said it time and time again, but like, the Dice Tower Cruise is my favorite board gaming event, like, period. I mean, just the fact that, like, well, I mean, cruises are fun in general. I mean, you get to have buffets, get to go to exotic places and things like that, and get to just have fun and do all sorts of excursions and pools and events and ice cream, soft serve as much as you want.
Endless ice cream.
So much ice cream. And we have the entire board game library there, and there's just so many friendly people, so many people to play games with, and just like, it's easy to sit down, throw up a little green thing, be like, players wanted at a game, and you're just immediately full. Just being able to play all sorts of different games with people. You know, and we try to curate the library with hot new games all the time, so it's always fun to play brand new stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The timing's good, too, because it's kind of post-Essen, so like Shelf 27 was full of a lot of
It was a lot of hot, yeah. 26 and 27. Anytime someone walked in, they're like, how is the library laid out? I was just go over those shelves, go find something good. Something good, something new. No, I love the late night food. Like just being able to get pizza at pretty much any time of day, late night food, hanging out with people. I think the last night we were there, we were up till like 2 a.m. just chatting with people.
That's
just
awesome.
having fun, yeah. I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
I remember being in the middle of a game of Battlestar Galactica and be like, oh, it's not my turn right now. I'm going to go get like an entire pizza for, it was just, ate pizza. That was a while back, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good amenities on the cruise ship. There's the islands. If you're not a person who loves getting off at the islands, like we only got off, Wendy and I only got off at one of the 3 stops in Labadee, Haiti, to go explore the beach and take our daughter out and to do some stuff. And Tom's good about encouraging us to, also do some fun stuff ourselves. But the other days we stayed on the ship because once that ship clears out, like
There's a lot more room for gaming as well.
Room for gaming, and then like our kids had an entire pool deck to themselves, basically.
Yeah.
They were so ecstatic. Also, the pool deck is where the soft serve ice cream machine is. So
yeah, it's
dangerous.
Like the kids play in the pool, and I just go repeatedly get soft serve ice cream. And then when I'm not getting soft serve ice cream, I'm getting my kids to get me soft serve ice cream. They're like, "Mom, Dad, can I have soft serve ice cream?" I'm like, "Yes, if you bring me one."
And then you have multiple kids, and you start piling it up.
And then you end up with like 3
many
soft serve
ice
ice creams, and the logistics of that, you're having one kid hold it while you lick it and then eat the other. No,
They did
crazy.
give the little kids smaller ice creams. So if a little kid got you ice cream, it was tiny.
Me and Ruthie figured out the hack. Is like you say, I want a large.
Oh.
And then they give you a
I
large,
want a
and then
big one.
it's hard to eat it all before it melts.
Oh my goodness. So I brought a bowl out at one point, and the guy just kept going. I thought he was giving me like an ice cream cone scoop worth in a bowl, but no, it just was like, he's like, you want more?
This is soft serve cruise life hacks right here. That's what we're learning.
Well, your littlest one figured out the hack pretty easily when he just yelled at the guy, "More!"
Exactly. Logan was not happy when they gave him a Logan-sized thing of ice cream. It's like, you're a little kid. Here's just a little bit. No!
Gaming was great. Played a bunch of... I got to teach Caesar's Empire to a bunch of people. I was very happy to see that getting checked out so much.
Yeah.
I played Flamecraft for the first time. So
Yeah.
that was fun. It's like the cruises like
Was
at
it
that time
fire?
of year. It was definitely fire. It was at that time of year where it's like you get to play the games from last year that you missed, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to play brass, and it was great because one of the guys afterwards was like, I think this is my top 10 now. So that made me
Ooh,
happy.
that's
because
always awesome.
It's my favorite game.
You did such a good job teaching brass to that person, that table of people. That one of them said, I was going to go to the bar once you were done teaching.
Yeah.
But I got to play this game sober.
Yeah, he was super into it. He almost won. The other guy won. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. I played Endless Winter. I taught Revive a few times, but didn't get a chance to play it. But yeah, just good stuff.
Yeah. And I think we've covered everything eventful that happened the entire week of the cruise.
Oh, I did get engaged on the cruise. I guess am I supposed to announce that?
Hey!
Yeah, I'd been planning for a while, and the crazy thing is, Tom and Jason knew. Like, you guys didn't even know that was going to happen.
Oh, I had no idea. We were just sitting there on the stage.
What
and
was
all of a
that like?
sudden-
Like, did you were you like, what is going on, or was it just confusing to you guys? It was kind of funny.
No, I was just like, yes, finally, because I love you and Ruthie together.
Yeah.
So that made me happy.
Yeah,
I was seasick and splayed out in bed.
I am hoping that I have the footage of all that stuff, so I need to talk with Tom and see if we're going to put those shows up or not. But it would be kind of cool to put that
It would
up
be
too,
nice.
so
Yeah.
everybody can enjoy it.
Now, I know some people are worried about, so I just meant I was seasick and I missed the first night game show, and I missed your engagement, so sorry about that, bud.
Well, you should watch the video.
Hey.
One thing that I did want to talk about, someone gave me these. These are the anti-seasickness wristbands, because this is more important than your engagement to talk about right now.
Of course.
And these are interesting. They have a little bead here on the inside, and so for a lot of people swear by these, so I wore these the rest of the cruise. You just wear them so that this is kind of pinching down on your tendons here on each wrist.
So you can look like Napoleon Dynamite.
I felt so. I was wearing a baseball cap and these, and I was like, I'm like John Cena, baby. But no, the rest of the cruise, I was fine. So if you're worried about seasickness, this is not bad. I wish that I had these that first night. But anyway, that's my way of saying congratulations, Roy.
Yay! Thanks, everybody. You're the best. And Ruthie, you're the best,
Yay.
too. Ruthie's in chat.
We hope so.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations. I think the Dice Tower cruise went well.
It was awesome.
So that's that.
Happy breakfast, everyone, and Happy New Year, of course. I hope everyone enjoyed some festive or holiday season gaming. 2 games that really worked for me that I thought I'd sort of let everyone know about. First of all, you've probably heard about it on the Dice Tower before, but Pitch Car. It's one of my sort of favourite dexterity games to go to. We managed to play a game with 7 or 8 people, can't quite remember, but a huge track that sort of had a number of different expansions. It's a dexterity game where you're flicking these cars round, the pitch cars. It's like a analogue version of Scalextrics. Lots of fun with jumps, tight corners, some don't have barriers on so you go flying off and all that sort of jazz. The other game that worked really well when there was a sort of a 6-person gathering was Wavelength, because we could split nice and evenly into the 2 teams, and in Wavelength you're giving people sort of clues of where on this spectrum the answer sits, and that sort of thing changes, so it could be from boring to exciting to hot to cold, and you're trying to sort of give a clue of sort of a 1 word or whatever clue of where on that spectrum the answer is. 2 games that worked really well for me this sort of Christmas and New Year season, and they could work with sort of any type of gamers, because they are just 2 games where the rules are super light, you can get it to the table, and it's pretty easy after a single turn to know exactly what's going on. But what did you play over the holiday season? Let us know in the comment section below, and have a great breakfast.
Hey, I'm Jordan. This is Weeknight Games, where we talk about a great game to play on a weeknight. Now, this is really short. I mean, this is like a 15-minute game. This is called Dandelions. This is actually a roll and move game. You're rolling dice and then moving around this board. And this is probably more of a filler game. It's not a game you're going to pull out necessarily on a weeknight and have like fun playing. I mean, you're going to have fun playing it, but it's not like one that you're going to take all your energy. This is one that you'll pull out on a game day to start things off or play in between things. It's 2 to 3 players. You're going to roll a whole fistful of dice, sort those out, and then you're going to be moving around this track board. It's a bunch of different tiles, and depending on where you land, you're going to drop your die that you use to get there down. And at the end of the game, depending on the score that's on the tile, that's how many points you're going to get per die that's on there, and then whoever has majority of dice on there also gets some bonus points. Super simple, super streamlined, and I think a really cool filler game that uses roll and move in an interesting way, in a really effective way, a way that some folks probably haven't seen before, and kind of makes the mechanic work. So that's Dandelions. I'm Jordan. Thanks.
All right. That's another successful board game breakfast. Congratulations again to Roy. Boom. Congratulations again to Tom for getting that root canal done. We're proud of you, buddy. Let's see. Make sure to come back in 20 minutes. Z will be doing What's Happening with Mr. Jack Pocket. Allegedly, Tom will be doing a Q&A at noon.
Allegedly.
You won't want to miss that.
We shall see.
And of course, 1 o'clock, we'll be doing the Top 100 with Tom, Z, and Mike. So until next time, I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Wendy Yee.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.